Hey y'all, welcome to Keeping It Real with Miss Mandy. How's it going today? Hope y'all are doing really, really great. This is my first episode, and to be completely honest with you guys, I haven't got the foggiest clue what I'm even doing. I don't have much tech experience. I don't have any YouTube experience, but it is time to try and become more involved. Um, as most of you probably feel, everything in the world is a little bit crazy right now. I'm a pretty opinionated person, but I also like to keep myself up to date on everything that's going on between mainstream media and the alternative media, like the YouTube influencers and the independent journalists. Um, I've seen so much going on that's pitting us all against each other. It seems as though the mainstream media, particularly here in Canada, has this plan to divide us, and it's working. It's definitely working. I see a lot of people super divided about, am I left wing? Am I right wing? Do I support this? Do I support that? Am I for or against different policies? And I don't understand for myself why it has to be that way. We're all people. We live on the same planet. We breathe the same air. And for the most part, a lot of us suffer from the same problems. Currently, I'm sure I'm not the only person out here that is really, really concerned about the cost of living. Groceries have become absolutely ridiculous. I went to the grocery store just the other day, came out with one bag of groceries, and it was over $100. And I don't spend ridiculously. I I'm very cautious. I definitely search for deals. I don't buy luxurious items. I'm just a normal girl. Um, and it has become more and more impossible for people, especially up here in Canada. I'm sure there's some Americans who are feeling the pain too, but it's become almost impossible. There's people out there working two, three jobs, trying to make ends meet, and there's those of us. I personally live on a fixed income. I'm retired, so we have to budget, and it seems as though our current government is not doing anything about it. Carney is jetting off here, jetting off there. Most recently, of course, making deals with China, who he just finished telling us was the enemy and was the biggest threat to our national security. So I don't know where he's going with that, other than, I don't know, trying to tick off the United States, which is just a bad idea. We should have had a deal with them by now. We should be making friends and playing nice with our closest neighbors. The system between our two countries has worked for years and years and years with no real issue. And here comes King Carney thinking, I'm the big banker. I know everything. I'm best in a crisis, as per his own words. I'm here because I'm best in a crisis. And all he has done in the last almost 1 year is make this crisis worse. So, as you can imagine, as you may have figured out by now, I'm definitely right leaning. I used to consider myself center. I did believe some of the policies of the Liberals. I believed some of the policies of the NDP. I believed some of the policies of the Conservatives. But the fact of the matter is, we have become very divided. I used to laugh at people in the United States being very, very, blue versus red, and you're a Republican, you're a Democrat. Well, now we're just like that. We have become exactly the same when it comes to right and left. And it shouldn't have to be this way. Everybody needs to just take a break, take a deep breath, and say, okay, things are not great. Let's all open up our little eyes and see that things are not good here. Okay, this used to be the country where dreams were made. I'm born and raised here, born and raised in a small town, wonderful upbringing. You know, every single household had children, every single household had jobs. They weren't necessarily the best, brightest, biggest jobs, but everybody was employed. And, the average family, a family of three or a family of four, could get by on one salary with very little problem. And that's no longer possible. That's no longer even remotely possible. There are so many people that are living on the streets now, and the homeless problem has gotten way out of hand. But everybody's trying to figure out how to fix it. And they're, let's give them safe injection sites. Let's give them this. Let's hand out warm meals. Let's hand out food and clothing and warm stuff. How about we fix our economy so that some of these people, if they so desire to get help and improve their lives, that they would actually be able to do that? Because as it stands right now, it doesn't matter if they go out and get a job, they won't be able to afford a place to live. So where does that leave them? That leaves them on the streets. And there's not much we can do about it. And, I hear a lot of people complaining and saying, oh, well, they get monthly checks. A lot of them get disability and a lot of them get welfare and whatnot. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And maybe that's the case. Okay, but the average disability check in Canada is, I think, at max $1,200 a month. You can't even, in my area anyway, here in Ontario, we can't even rent a basement apartment. Actually, let me rephrase. We can't even rent a room in somebody else's home for $1,000 a month. So what legitimately do you expect these people to do? So starting from the very top, we need to do something. We need to do something about the way our country is being run. I'm hoping and praying that there's going to be an election coming up. Now, anybody who does see this, I don't know if I'm going to get any viewers. I don't know if I'm going to get any subscribers, but hey, if you do show up, hit like, hit subscribe, see if this ends up going anywhere, because we need to make the change, and it's going to take people to make the change. The government is not our friend. They have never been our friend. And the less government has to be involved in our lives, the better. We used to be a much happier, much more self-sufficient population. We used to be able to grow our own food, buy our own groceries. We didn't have to depend on, schools feeding our children. Myself, I've never had to go through that. I was able to provide for my child her whole life. But, now here's our government arguing back and forth about this school food program. Well, guess what? If all these taxes, carbon taxes, GST, HST, our households are taxed dozens of times between your paycheck, your land taxes, your taxes on groceries, your taxes on gas, your taxes on taxes. Stop it. Pierre Poilievre, love him or hate him. Okay, I get some people don't like him. They think he's too tough, too harsh. But at least he's realistic. His first things that he wants to do are lower our taxes. And the only way we're going to get out of this rut so that people can get apartments, can get jobs, can support themselves is by getting rid of some of these astronomical taxes, this extra bureaucracy that we do not need. And for God's sake, somebody make a deal with the US. Okay? Mr. Trump is not Badman Orange. Yeah, he can be a little out there. I'm not a huge fan, but he knows what he's doing, and he's doing what he said he was going to do. So I don't know why everybody's so shocked. So our government, take note. Take note. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't say you're going to, make a deal. I'm going to make a deal with Trump so fast it'll make your head spin. We're going to be the fastest building economy. It's going to make your head spin. My head has not spun yet. There's been no spinning because nothing is happening. He has been in charge of this country for a year. Nothing has been accomplished. Sorry, something has been accomplished. He has made deals with China to allow electric vehicles to be sold here. Because, yeah, that's what we need in Canada. Heads up, I got a news flash for you, okay? Electric vehicles in Canada, not the greatest idea. Because guess what? You lose battery capacity as soon as the temperature drops. And you know what? We spend almost 6 months in the cold. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm not running out to buy an EV of any kind anytime soon. I want some good old fashioned gasoline engine that's going to start and run when I need it to. I don't need to worry about being stuck in a blizzard on a 401 highway, sitting there for hours and worry about my battery dying. Okay, at least I can carry an extra can of gas. I can't carry a generator with me, you know. So, anyway, getting back to the previous, we need to fix this, okay? Everybody needs to get involved. Get involved. Talk to your local MP. Talk to people in your area. Find out what your riding is all about. You know, try and communicate with one another. We can do that still, believe it or not. You know, we can talk to each other and try and iron out our differences. I have no hate for anybody. I have zero hate for anybody of any religious background, sexual orientation, any of that shit. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where you came from. We all have some things in common here. Okay. I don't care who voted liberal, who voted conservative, who hates who. We need to stop all of this. Okay. Stop it. Let's find a common goal. Let's find some common purpose. You know, it seems like that's all we need to do. We all need to talk. Everybody needs to talk to each other. You know, whatever happened to that? Nobody talks. So I guess what that boils down to is my attempt at this. Okay. I loved Charlie Kirk. God bless him. God bless Charlie Kirk. And what he stood for, you know, let's put down all of the things that he may or may not have said that people may or may not have liked. He stood for traditional values, and he stood for the ability to communicate with other people despite our differences. Okay, so everybody set down your weapons. There's no need to fight with one another. There's no need to judge who voted for who supports who. Oh my God, left wing, right wing, you're a phobic something or other. I don't know. Let's talk about it. Okay? We can talk about anything. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about politics? Let's talk about politics. You want to talk about sexual identity? Let's talk about sexual identity. You want to talk about religion? Let's talk about religion. I'll talk to you about anything. I like to talk. And I like to consider myself somewhat educated in most areas because I like to keep informed by multiple sources. I'm not saying the mainstream is all bad. There's good stuff on there. I'm not saying that independent journalists is all great. There's some stupid stuff on there. Okay? But let's talk about it. Hit me up. Shoot me a comment. What do you think about our current economic situation? What do you think about the possibility of an upcoming election? What do you think about Carney? Has he done a good job? Personally, I don't think so. Some people might. I don't know. Some people also have their heads buried in the sand. So educate yourselves, inform yourselves. Let's have some discussions. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you want to. I'm going to try and come out maybe, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, once a week maybe. Hey, if it works out, maybe I'll come out more often than that. But let's talk about things. Let's pick a different discussion each week. How's that sound? So for this week, this is our topic. We're just talking politics here. We're talking about the state of the world. We're talking about the need to be open and communicate with one another and stop, for God's sake, judging each other. Quit it. We're not children, okay? Gen X are here. We're not little kids. We don't need to slam one another. We don't need to bash one another. We don't need to decide what somebody does or doesn't believe in or does or doesn't like in life. We're all people, okay? We used to sit down and discuss things. Let's get back to that. Everybody have a great week. Hopefully, if this works out, I might be back next week. I might not. If everyone thinks that this is a load of crap, so be it. But I don't know. I might be back just for the hell of it. All right. Have a great day. Keep it real, everybody.